Hey everyone, happy Fibro Friday. I hope your week was amazing and I hope your weekend will be even better. Today I'm going to go over my notes and my takeaways from my annual physical. So I do my physical once a year and this year was no exception. I will also go over the critical labs that have changed as well as some of my doctor's advice for some of my most common recurring issues with fibromyalgia. And then finally, I will tell you all why I use a concierge healthcare system for my healthcare needs. For the record, I'm not a partner with them in any way. They are just a service provider, and I am another client, patient, customer. So I don't get any kickback from telling you about it. And also because I know that there is no truly nationwide concierge healthcare system. If you live somewhere outside of the zone of the one that I use, it's not really helpful to link it, but I'll still tell you about it. And if you want a more in-depth video about concierge health, I'm happy to do that as well. So let's start with the visit. So my doctor's visit, whenever I go, it is a two-part visit. I go first 2 weeks before the actual sit down with my doctor. I go in to get labs done, blood drawn, urinalysis. They do all of the lab work, and by the very next day, the results are in a portal. I can look at them. My doctor usually looks at them that day or maybe the day after, and she'll make some notes if there's anything that she wants to discuss during our visit. But I can look at the numbers myself and determine if there's anything I want to discuss based on the data. So that happens 2 weeks before our actual sit down together. So when the date of the actual visit comes, I go to her office as usual. And when I'm there, I get checked in. I go back with her nurse. My check in process just a few seconds. And truly, I am in the waiting room all of 3 minutes, maybe five at most. I go back, I get weighed. I get all of my vitals checked, and then I get a small assessment where I'm asked about typical things, social history as far as drinking, smoking, drugs, that kind of thing, family history, any medical changes, all of the standard questions. And that takes usually about 10 minutes. This year, because I have not gotten my eye exam yet, I went ahead and did one in office at my doctor's office. Guess what, guys? I still really can't see, which is no surprise to anyone. And I did confirm, yes, I wear corrective lenses. I wear contacts, though not today, but contacts and glasses, I bounce between the two. So that was done. And then my doctor came in and we started to do our discussion. So she, of course, checked more things about me. She knows, of course, my in depth medical history, but then she went over my labs. And I have great news. All of my lab numbers for the first time ever are all in the normal range. There was one slight concern, and even she said that was so slight, she wasn't really worried about it. And it said essentially normal. So we'll go over that. I'll tell you what that's about. So, the ones that I am always looking for when I get the test results are vitamin D, vitamin B12, and iron. Those are my three main areas. And for the first time, and who knows when, my iron levels were normal. My vitamin D levels were surprisingly in the normal range as well. And that's really surprising because I have not been going outside and getting much sun. These past few months, I wasn't getting as much sun as I prefer. And my vitamin D levels were absolutely normal. And my vitamin B12, which is usually extraordinarily high, is now back in the normal range. I think the changes with my labs has a lot to do with the way I've adjusted my nutrition over the past couple of months, the way that I've shifted my focus. I've been taking my multivitamins very consistently, and also I'm not supplementing with extra B12 like I used to. Since that's not happening, I think that's made the biggest difference in those numbers. Now, the one figure that my doctor said was a touch higher than she'd prefer, but was still in the essentially normal range, was my cholesterol. And so I did tell her I was trying different things with my diet in order to hopefully lose some weight as well as work on inflammation that's going on in my body. And I said, I've been trying different things dietarily. And she was like, okay, that's totally fine. You do have to sometimes adjust and figure out what works for you to make you feel your best. However, because it is Concierge Health, they have other built in services, and one of them is a nutrition team. So she assigned me to their wellness team, who has already reached out to me. I will be scheduling an appointment once I finish filming, and then I will see how that goes. Once I get that appointment done, I'll see what the plan is. I'll share that with you all, of course, and let you know how that goes. But I did want to just share that I was very, very close to what is considered normal for everything, including that slightly elevated bad cholesterol, which I believe was the LDL cholesterol. Don't quote me on that. I did not look back over the scores before I started filming. I just filmed the most important ones, which were vitamin D, vitamin B12, and the iron levels. That's the only thing I jotted down for this video. But she did mention the cholesterol could be improved, and it probably will be a very simple fix because I was right on the borderline of what could be considered slightly high. So that's it for my lab results. Now, she always asks, how are your pain symptoms? How is your rest? What's going on? And I told her, my sleep's not that great. And I've been working on it. I've been adjusting things. I try new things all the time, but the sleep is not as good as I'd prefer. And so she gave me 2 hacks that I'm going to share with you. And remember, this is not medical advice, even though it came from my doctor to me. This was her advice to me. I'm sharing the tip with you. One, she recommended ashwagandha 30 minutes before bed or so, which I have ashwagandha and I've never used it. I've never tried it. I just have an unopened container in my cabinet. And so I will be trying it tonight. She mentioned that it won't give you the kind of grogginess that I know magnesium does for me, but she said that ashwagandha should not give me that effect. So I will be trying ashwagandha. Now, you all know I still will be taking my magnesium. It does definitely help with sleep, but because of how it makes me feel when I get up, I don't want to take it every day. And honestly, I don't need a ton of magnesium. My levels are good. So doing it a touch more sporadically is fine. However, if I'm going to do magnesium, I have to commit to going to bed a bit earlier so that I can truly sleep it off. Whereas if I do this right with the ashwagandha, I may not have to do it quite like that. So we'll see. We'll see. That's the first thing that she recommended, though. The second thing that she recommended was that on those nights where I have a hard time going to sleep because I'm anxious, thinking through the next day's list and just feeling generally antsy, she mentioned try counting from 900 down to 0 by threes, counting backwards by threes. She mentioned that the part of the brain that is verbal and focuses on words and lists and that kind of thing, and the part of the brain that's more mathematical, they really don't function well at the same time. So if you're doing something mathematical, the verbal part of the brain tends to shut down. And so if you're suffering from overthinking, especially going to bed, the best thing you can do is to do some mental math. And that tends to quiet that other side of the brain so that you can get to sleep faster and with less anxiety. So I'll be trying that. I'm really excited to try that, like extraordinarily, because I love numbers. For the record, I love numbers, but I've never used numbers in an attempt to get more sleep. I've never counted sheep. Like, I know that's a cute idea, but I never got down with it. I never could get into it. So I don't count sheep, but I can certainly count backwards from a large number. And doing it by threes is a great mental exercise that will probably help my brain shut off, just like she said. So that was the visit in a nutshell. It took a little over an hour. She did want to do another urinalysis because she notes that I do have inflammation in my body. She said it herself. She was like, you're definitely a bit inflamed. And, she's like, it's not surprising. You do have a fibromyalgia diagnosis. It's not autoimmune, but you do have some inflammation that you're likely dealing with. And she wanted to look at a couple more things just to make sure that I wasn't fighting something else internally. And so I did have to go back to the lab, and I'll see what the results are about that in the next day or two. But if it requires a follow up visit, then I'll tell you about that. But so far, everything is great. And it was a good visit, a great discussion. I felt so much better when I left than when I came in because I was a little tired. And even though I've been here at this particular clinic for 5 years, I still feel a little bit anxious when going to the doctor. You just never know what you're going to get sometimes. So this was a good experience, and I'm glad that I had it. Now, the next thing, why do I choose concierge healthcare? So, concierge healthcare is interesting because you pay for an upgraded service basically, and it's something that you shouldn't, in my theory, my idea, you shouldn't have to pay for it. You should be able to get these things whenever you work with a doctor. But the truth is, the American healthcare system is abysmal. It is pretty much bare bones all the way around. And so if you want something that looks like comprehensive care, you'll either have to patch it together yourself, or you will have to pay extra to have a service provided to you that does that. And that's what concierge health affords you. So let's talk about some of the pros. And the biggest con is going to be the price. But I will tell you about the pros first so you know why I do this, even though there is an additional price for it. So I have more time with my doctor per visit, and they are far more considerate of my time as far as waiting. So when I get to the doctor's office, I've been in doctor's offices where I have waited for 45 minutes to an hour before I even get my vitals checked. That has literally happened to me. And I hated having to take off an entire afternoon for actually 20 to 25 minutes with the doctor tops, but the rest of the time I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it just wasn't a good use of my time. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't considerate. It was unprofessional, in my opinion. And I know that it's a volume business for the average doctor. And that's why I like concierge health. My doctor's visits are slated for 90 minutes every single year. That's what my annuals are, 90 minutes long. I have that much time. And if I need more time, they actually have upgraded services where you can get more time to discuss things with your doctor if you want to go over more in-depth issues, right? So the standard though is 90 minutes. And I only used a little over an hour today. But when I was in a lot more pain, I got closer to 90 minutes, and it was still an abundance of time. I was able to do everything I needed. It was fantastic. So I love that I'm given more time for the visit, as well as the fact that during the waiting in the waiting room period, I'm not there for 10, 15, 20 minutes, which is still fairly reasonable to me, to be honest. I am in the waiting room all of 3 to 5 minutes before the nurse is coming to get me to get my vitals. And then after she's done everything with her stuff, within 5 minutes, my doctor is walking in. It is so efficient. I just absolutely love it. I also love, and this is a complete aside and probably not the case for every concierge health office, but I love that they have really great snacks and really great beverages in the lobby. Whether I eat them or not, or drink or not, I love that it's available. They have a variety of teas and coffees available, and water. You can get all of that. And they have a variety of really healthy trail mix, apples, bananas, whatever, so that you can eat a little something, especially if you're someone who has had to do some sort of fasting blood work. How nice that you can get something to eat before you even leave the office. So that's fantastic as well. Love that. So that's the main thing. Or that's not the main thing, but that's one more thing. One of the things that I really loved, and this is actually the main reason why concierge health made a lot of sense for me, I did not have to spend a ton of time convincing my doctors that I was unwell. That is something that I've noticed outside of the concierge health system. Convincing doctors, not specialists, specialists are pretty easy to convince because they do their labs and they believe their blood work and they know the labs to look at and what to see. But for your generalists, your primary care physicians, convincing them that something's going on with you that is not just stress or just a little bit of overwhelm, or you just need a little more sleep, or you just need to change your diet, convincing them of that there's something more complex going on can be like pulling teeth. So going into a concierge healthcare system where they're actually listening, they believe you up front, because why in the world would you pay extra just to have someone not believe you? Like, they know that you are doing this for a reason. There's a simple understanding there. And I was able to take some of the issues that I had dealt with outside of concierge health, take them to my concierge health doctor, and have them addressed one by one in a way that let me know, at least with my first doctor and with every doctor after that. My very first doctor under the system 100% believed me when I said what was going on with me and got me to the right next step every time. I had other issues going on. He believed me. He didn't question it. It wasn't a matter of I have to keep telling you and telling you and telling you. The first time I told him, he took action. And that was such a relief to finally feel like you are heard. It's a big deal. As someone who really, that's a pet peeve, to not be heard in a certain way. So to have doctors who weren't hearing me was extremely triggering. So coming into concierge healthcare made a huge difference in how collaborative my healthcare plan felt. I felt like I was being heard, and I heard my doctors too, which was wonderful, and very much a balanced relationship where the communication is truly flowing back and forth. It was wonderful, and it is wonderful still. The next thing, I can get an expedited appointment with my doctor when I am ill. If I fall sick suddenly, I can get into the office the next day or even the same day. If I call early enough, I can get in the same day. And there is no wait, there's no extraordinary wait. I get in and it's just as efficient as a scheduled doctor's appointment, like my annual. It's fantastic. It saves me so much time. And because she knows my history, I'm not giving her a debrief of everything that could be going on contributing to said illness. She already knows. So that's fantastic. Concierge healthcare doctors have much smaller patient rosters, so they actually have time to get to know their patients, which is really, really nice. The next thing is the proactive nature of my doctors. They are so much more proactive about my health care. It's amazing. They, you mention an issue to them, they're able to quickly refer you to where you need to go. And my insurance does not require referrals. However, it's really nice that my doctor is able to quickly call a specialist and get the specialist to call me to set up an appointment. I don't have to go hunting around for the best person. They already have their network set up. They already know who's going to be able to get me in quickly. The amount of wait times I've had trying to do this on my own, astronomical. Go in through concierge health, a week or two, maybe. Sometimes, depending on the specialist, maybe a little bit longer, but normally this is a very fast process. And I love that that's available, and the fact that the doctors are so proactive about these things when you're dealing with concierge health. When you have an issue, it doesn't fall through the cracks. They take notes on it and they have follow up on it, checking in with you, making sure that everything that you need is in place and that you're able to go confidently to the next step of the process and get your issue addressed. And the last thing, and this is going to be kind of an aside, and it's not really something that people that you know who are dealing with healthcare issues, you may have noticed that the worse you feel, oftentimes the worse the staff is when you go to a doctor. I don't know what that's about. When I feel pretty good, the doctor's office, when I wasn't in concierge health, seemed to be pretty good, but they tend to mirror. So, like when I was in the worst of pain, I just got staff that just felt really cold. They weren't very friendly. They were polite enough, but there was no warmth there. Every time I go to my concierge healthcare professionals and I interact with their staff, it's always professional, friendly. These people are happy to be there, and I am happy to see them. I always feel like they believe that the care starts from the moment you walk into the door, not when you sit in the doctor's chair or when you're talking to the nurse. That's not when the health care starts. It starts as soon as you walk in to check in, and I really appreciate that. The biggest drawback to concierge health is definitely the price. Yes, I feel you shouldn't have to pay to be treated so humanely. it should be part of the healthcare process, but it's not. So in this case, all I can say is for different healthcare systems, you will have to look up the additional price. The amount I pay to access this system doesn't touch my copays. It doesn't touch any of my other health expenditures that I can kind of write off under my flexible spending. It's nothing like that. It's just a membership, basically. And it's a little over $200 a month. Yes, I know. I could cancel that and cancel maybe one or two other subscriptions and have the car of my dreams. That being said, it's been worth it. 5 years in, I have no regrets. I'm on my third doctor with this system. My first doctor ended up going to an office much closer to his home where he would be the only doctor. They only had a nurse practitioner there, so he'd actually be the doctor on staff. And he was older. He didn't want to keep driving an hour. My second doctor, she relocated with her family last year. And my third doctor is native here, and I don't anticipate she'll be going anywhere. She's great. She has children, and we've talked about our children and some of the similarities. So it's been wonderful getting to know her. It's been good. It's been a good experience all the way around with each of the doctors, with how well they've handled all of my concerns. And I have thoroughly enjoyed this experience. I'm thankful for my fibromyalgia coach who recommended concierge healthcare several years ago, because I can only imagine how absolutely flustered I'd be if I had to do all of this on my own. So, yeah, that's it for my doctor's appointment news. Oh my gosh, 20 minutes, 21 minutes in. I'm sorry I kept you this long. If you're here, thanks for staying this long. But I'm sorry I kept you this long. I didn't plan on it. I thought this would be quicker. But I did want to at least discuss why I stay with the concierge healthcare system, as well as the health updates from my latest doctor's visit. So that's it for today. I'm letting you go. Thank you for staying this long. If you got to this point, please take care of yourselves. Have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye bye.